What's up, guys? Episode 8 of the 94 Fleetwood, and we have got the front end of it completely wrapped up and all back together. We did have to sleeve the calipers on both of them, but I got ahead of myself and just went to work and didn't really do a whole lot of videoing during it. But I'm going to show you a little bit about it here in just a moment. Today, my focus is the arches, getting the arches done, and possibly starting to cut out some of the rear factory stock crap that's in there, and repairing some of the inside of the frame as well. But before I start into all that, I wanted to thank all the subscribers, the viewers, and my customers that have just been an absolute delight to work with and talk to. I had someone from Atlanta that I met several years ago that was a follower, and he messaged me last night just thanking me for putting the content back out there and getting back on here and making videos. It is tough to make these videos. Constantly putting out new content, and it's tough. I ain't gonna lie to you. You think it's not, but it is. It's a little tough. But also, you know, the customers that I've had, the person that brought in this Caprice even brought me a Christmas gift of something that I really wanted that I thought my wife was going to get, but he ended up bringing it to me, which was cool as hell. You know, guys don't get gifts. You know what I'm saying? Like, girls get all the gifts. Guys don't get gifts. So when you get a gift, it's like, oh hell yeah. But even the person that I got the Fleetwood from, he's when I went to pick it up, you know, of course, he paid for our lunch, you know, going to pick it up. Me and my wife went to go and pick it up, and he was very adamant about not letting us pay. And you know, I was just gonna pay the waitress and, you know, walk out and everything like that, and not say anything. But he made sure that that waitress knew, you know, right away. So anyway, it's awesome to have good followers, good subscribers, and people that just appreciate kind of what I'm trying to put out there. So thank you to all of you guys that are doing that. So anyway, jumping right into this, and we're going to show you how the front kind of turned out, and then we're going to jump into the arches on this thing as well. So before I jump up front and show you some of the stuff up front, I wanted to show you something else that I got that was kind of cool. I don't know if you can see it, but I got this for Christmas. If you ain't first, you're last. Love that. All right, so it's still a little dirty because we have not cleaned it yet. We painted it really quick through a quick rattle can on it, self-etch and then rattle can, just to make it so it didn't rust quickly. But so we got the side plate, top plates on both, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's been sleeved. And then of course the ears were done. I don't know if you can see that, but the ears were done as well. And let's see here, chain mounts, all that stuff has been done. Ball joints taken out and replaced and greased up, and took out the 1/2-inch hose and put back a 3/8 because it does not have fat sticks, and we only have one pump to the front. So we are increasing the pressure and you know, reducing volume to increase pressure, if that makes sense. So don't talk shit about his wheels, because these are just rollers. And for those of you that are not familiar with what the term rollers are, which apparently not everybody knows what this is, rollers are just wheels that you put on the car to move it from point A to point B. They are not wheels that are supposed to look good. I got a lot of rollers that used to look good. Somebody did ask me how I don't scar up stuff while it's in the vise, because I use the vise a lot. It's my go-to. But so the thing about this particular vise is that half of it is got real rigid teeth. The other half I have literally sanded down so it's a smooth surface. So I can hold things right here without any worries of it scarring up, but on the other side, it holds it just like anything else. So I know that's a silly thing to do, but that's how I do that. All right, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on sleeving, but I wanted to throw it out there really quick. So you can take a large washer, larger than this obviously. You can take a large washer just like this and cut the hole roughly around the right size of the ball joint as it goes through, and you can then heat it up and kind of put it in a vise, heat it up, and then take something and hammer it down to where it causes this to turn into like a bowl, and hammer it down enough, and then start taking your vise and squeeze the now curved washer, squeeze it kind of around the bolt, and then it kind of makes it so that when you put it back in the caliper and push it down, the ball joint is squishing it that much further all the way, so when you tighten it down, it's just squeezed in there. So that's one method. Or if the hole is not very big, you can take a conduit, a 2-hole conduit holder, basically kind of like this right here. This is super thin metal. It's easy to move, easy to manipulate. You can take and cut off the ears and then kind of take a bolt or the old ball joint hole and then just squeeze it in your vise and just go around it and then cut off most of your excess to where it leaves a small little slit. That way you can go ahead and put it in the caliper hole. So when it goes down in there, it's like this. When it goes down in there, if I can get my hands right, when it goes down in there, it's going to mash it all into the position where it needs to be. It fills the void. Now, is this a forever fix? No, it is not. But with low riding, there is no forever fix. Something always breaks. So this is a good way for a street car to solve that problem until you jump into like uniballs or something like that, which you could always go with uniballs on this, set up the bolt-in uniballs on this, and they would probably slide right into these calipers and probably be okay. But the hole was not completely circular. It was more oval. I'm not sure who cut it out, but it was very jagged and circular, like a abnormal circle. So what I elected to do was take one of these and cut it and then slide it over the ball joint exactly where I wanted it, and then make sure that it filled the void so that when it pulled down, it filled the void. It was good to go. All right, we're going to get in here and clean this bad boy up and get it ready for the arches to be welded in. Somebody asked me why I don't sand this down and use a wire wheel instead of just sanding it down. And the reason is pretty obvious for those of you that don't know. When you use a wire wheel, you're knocking off all the dirt, rust, all that kind of good stuff. When you're using a sanding disc or anything like that, you're actually removing the metal, making it thinner. I don't want this metal thinner. I want this metal thicker. So you use the wire wheel to preserve as much of the metal as possible. All right, we're gonna jump right into this. Safety first. Got my goggles, got my earplugs, got my handy dandy wire wheeler. Now let's go. So I wanted to show you this. Now, if you can see right there. So that's one of the pegs. It's basically tacked in there, I guess you could say. Not a full weld at all. Matter of fact, I don't even think it's still touching right there. I think it's already broken. But anyway, so this is some of the stuff that I see when, you know, someone brings me a car, and I mean, you can clearly see it's barely touching it. And then if you look towards the back, that one right there, which it's hard to get a camera up in here, but well, anyway, the point is that I've got to go in there and at least, you know, I see little problems like that, you got to go ahead and hit it really quick. So I'm gonna clean that up a little bit with my more precise wire wheel, and then get in there and get that welded too. All right, got everything cleaned up and got the piece kind of sort of positioned where I want it, and I got kind of lucky on this one because there's not really any contours whatsoever as far as like having to bend and making sure that the metal is 100% flat on it, because the frame is basically flat, all except for one little spot on the passenger side. But anyway, so got it kind of mounted up where I want it to be at. And you know, I always go through a little like 5-point inspection, or not really an inspection but a checklist. Cover up everything with a heat shield, make sure that I know where my fire extinguisher is, and I also have my air going right next to me, just in case, and also to blow down the frame rails after I get done each little section. And I like to blow a little bit of air through there just to make sure that nothing's on fire, because this stuff can get away from you quickly. So that, and let's see here. I believe that is it, and I'm about to get started. And like I said, it is pretty flat on here. So I really just want to put like a nice little tack somewhere right in here, and that way it's stuck to it, and I can remove this, and then I will grab my vise clamp and kind of finish putting it around. Now, you are not supposed to go with long runs, meaning like you shouldn't weld the entire bottom piece in one weld. Obviously, one, you're definitely going to catch the car on fire, but two, if you're welding for that long at a time, you run the risk of bending the metal or it warping and things like that, because it's so much heat. So you're supposed to do it in sections. So what I believe I am going to do is I'm going to give it a nice little tacky tack right there. Then I'm going to squeeze it nice and flat right here to the frame right over here. And then I'm going to do the entire run of the up to down, and then do the same thing on the other side. And for those of you that don't weld or anything, like I said, I never went to school for this. I just learned it and literally watched videos, and just literally for years just been messing with it, and you know, kind of sharpening my tool to where I know what I'm doing, you know, to a pretty good degree. Well, anyway, so when I go to weld, there's a lot of different techniques. There's left to right, doing the zigzag, there's, you know, circles, there's, you know, starting and stopping, and there's a lot of different techniques. My technique that I like the most is counterclockwise circles, and I don't know why I like that. I just like how it turns out. It goes back to the puddle and then comes out. I don't know. I just work better with that, and I also always try to use both hands, because I got shaky hands and it'll end up going all over the place if I don't. So left hand kind of guides it. And then when I'm welding up to down, and that's the part that's some of the hardest stuff, is either welding upside down or welding up to down. You know, welding straight down, you can get that perfect all day long, but when it comes to some of the more tedious angles, that's where it can be difficult. So when you're welding up to down, I find that welding from up to down is the better route instead of down to up. Sometimes you have no choice and you do it how you can, but that's just how I'm doing it. So, all right, gonna get started here. All right, so see what I mean? Up to down. Like how it turned out. I got the plate on there and cleaned her up just a little bit. Gonna get her ready for paint, just to put a quick self-etch on it. Already wiped down the metal and everything, but put some quick self-etch on there and a quick coat of black, make it look, you know, decent. And also hit that and those pegs back there, which let's see if you can see. I don't know if you can see that back there, but anyway, had a pretty big gap to fill on that, so it probably doesn't look the best. But anyway, besides the point, I'm gonna probably weld on the inside. Honestly, I'll probably look down those tubes in the inside and give them a little whoop-de-woo on the inside. All right, I'm gonna tape off real quick and shoot it. Yeah. Give that about 10-15 minutes to dry, and then hit it with the black. All right, as you can see, I've got it on there and got a coat of paint on there, and unfortunately it looks like I ran out of paint, so I'm gonna have to go and get some more before I can do the other side. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Make sure that you comment, like, and subscribe, and I will be posting more about it as the days go by. Now, I probably will take a couple of days off for Christmas, unfortunately, so we will pick back up right after Christmas.